Jason Bissell, Chair of Isle of Man Biosphere Board.
With Jason and the recent announcement of a UNESCO Biosphere Isle of Man appointing a new board, 14-strong board, what's the purpose of this?
It's a great question. So the Biosphere status has been with us for nearly 10 years now. As we know, we're heading into our periodic review. And as part of that assessment, the SPG, which is the Strategic Partner Group, felt that it was appropriate that we bring in some governance around the biosphere and how we govern that on the islands. And they charged the team, at the Biosphere team, to create a board. The construct of that board is, as you can see, that we've got 14 people identified there. I'm happy to go into some more detail about it, but it came from the community. It wasn't something that government made up. It was from the SPG, which is the design of the participatory nature of the biosphere.
So what will they actually be doing? Because you're talking about, again, there's the UNESCO review, I think, in 2026, this 10-year periodic review. So what a submission's got to be, that presumably the board will be involved in putting this submission forward for 2026.
Yeah, correct. And so if we look at it from two fronts, we've got work to get done and we've got a future to achieve. And so the work to get done is held by the current team who are working on the periodic review. And that's going, I'd say, going well. The risk assessment has been done. The framework is drawn up. There's a lot of stakeholder management going on right now. This is the work that we need to do to renew our status. So that's in a good place. And that's the team. The future, where we need to get to, or where we would like to get to, if the islands should choose, if you like, is how do we create a bit more governance around that, and specifically around how do we organise ourselves to capture what the opportunity is of biosphere for transformation and change across industry. So from that future perspective, the board was by design objective. It was by design what is a cross-section of the island. So we took 14 different domains. Let's give an example. So financial services as a domain. And so Nigel Cheesley from Lloyd's is joining the board pro bono, as all of the board members are, to represent the island's digital and finance domain. So his role has accountabilities. So he's in the process of now working out what those accountabilities are, that he comes to these bi-monthly board meetings and canvasses and works with the community in digital and finance to say, what does biosphere mean to digital and finance as a sector? And obviously the other two areas of sort of environment and culture. So Brescia is an example from Culture Vannin is on the board to represent culture as a domain. So by design, it's objective. By design, it's participatory in a voluntary level. This is not a board that's been set up with a group of Neds that are getting paid for doing this. They're doing it because they want to do it, and they want to come and take action.
What do you say to people who say, well, look, we know the Isle of Man is not floating in a sea of money at the moment. We're sort of trying to make savings. Cash isn't in ready supply a lot of the time. This is, a waste of money in their eyes.
There isn't any money being spent on it, I guess, in short. It's a group of 14 people that are voluntary coming together to say, we believe as a group that the status of biosphere for the island has economic value, has environmental value, and has human, if you want, culture value. And we would like to move it to a more governed environment where we could take action on it. The challenge, if you look at biosphere for the last 10 years, is that it doesn't have a body. It has UNESCO obviously as a body, and government, the Isle of Man government, support the biosphere, and so do the community. But there isn't a body of governed people that can say, okay, what does a partner mean? What does a biosphere partner mean? What it means at the moment is you make a pledge, and you get awarded. You are a biosphere partner. To move that forward to what some of the other biospheres are doing around the world, which may be contributing to economy. Again, whatever that means is coming from business and from society. That opportunity is for us to design as a community, and so we can move it forward. That's really, the passion and the mission, if you like, is how do we move this forward as an island so we know what it means to me on the street, what it means to me in my business, and what it means to me in my environment.
So the board members, these 14 board members, none of these are actually remunerated for their work?
Correct.
What about, again, I have seen something on social media, someone saying, oh, this is cronyism, and suggesting, for example, Sarah Mercer, who is there with responsibility for partnerships, and clearly her father, Rob Mercer, MLC. Do you see any conflict of interest there?
Well, if I could say, there is no interest without conflict. That's a sort of generic point, but specifically around governing this, what we did in the interview process is that we were extremely objective around that. We created a panel, and with Sarah specifically, who's an amazing advocate for Biosphere. We had that conversation with her directly, which obviously I'm not going to disclose, publicly, but we did have that discussion around conflicts and how we would handle that. And in the panel, we documented this obviously as our governed process to say how would you handle that, and we gave some scenarios and we tested that and felt comfortable with Sarah specifically that not only is she a great advocate, but that we would have a way of handling that conflict as any board does. I sit on boards, and when there's a conflict, I'm asked to remove myself from the room, and I quietly do that and come back in when it's appropriate. So I don't think there's any as long as you're managing it professionally, then you should encourage. You shouldn't encourage conflicts, but you should encourage that sort of tension, because we otherwise people get excluded, and this is about inclusiveness and participatory involvement in Biosphere.
So how much do you think, going forward, again, we're looking to restate our biosphere, or at least renew our biosphere status in 2026. I know we chatted about that briefly the last time we were talking, but how much do you believe that the Biosphere Nation adds to Isle of Man PLC as a value?
It's a really good question. It's one that we're asking. So as a board, it will be one of the questions that we will ask. Now, there is some research going on right now on the island and stakeholder discussions around that. And there is other evidence from other biospheres of the financial and fiscal impact of Biosphere. I was yesterday at Balagowan Farm with the Coolies, who won the Lapwing Award, which is an incredible recognition of Biosphere in action. And David was stood in front of his herd up at the farm, explaining how he has integrated, the environment with his economy and with his people. So he has school children doing foresting on his farm. He's making good economic decisions around using dung beetles, and he's got a thriving cattle up there that are healthy, and he's regenerating the land around the area. And it's just a great example of Biosphere in action. And it's not either one of those three things that we've just discussed. It's all three of them together. It's not organic for organic. It's working within those three spheres of economy and the community and the environment. And that's exciting. And I think that, when you ask the question, what is the economic impact of Biosphere? I've just given you a great example, and I can give you lots of other examples, and we need to promote that as an island, because, we won an award last year that every farm, in the UK is trying to win, and the Isle of Man picked up the accolade thanks to David and his brother. So better lead by example rather than discussions, to be honest, Howard. I think let's look at the real facts rather than what we think, opinions. Let's show me evidence. And there's evidence coming through the seeds of Biosphere for the last 10 years.
We're rapidly hurtling towards 2026, halfway through 2025, of course. When will we actually know in 2026 whether our status has been renewed?
Yeah, I will defer to the team on this. As chair, I'm not operational, and I don't want to be evasive. What I can say is that we're on track. We did a review last Thursday. As an observer, I came in and just sort of seeing where we are on it. And I can personally say, from an observation point of view, we've got the risk assessed. We've got the plans in place. And what we'll do in probably about a month's time, there's going to be a briefing to the board on where we are, so that those board will have an assessment as well. And perhaps we can follow up, Howard, and give the listeners an opportunity to understand where we are on that. But we're in good shape, and it's not just we're in good shape without doing the work. We've got dedicated people working on this right now.
Listen, thanks for the chat today, and yes, we'll do exactly that. We'll have another chat and a catch up towards perhaps the later on in 2025 to see we're still on track.
Great. Thanks, Howard.